I've known Julian for 12 years. We started in the same cramped co-working space, drinking lukewarm coffee and obsessing over margins. But I realized last Tuesday that while we were playing the same game, we were no longer playing on the same map. I never truly understood the scale of his world until I pulled up to his estate. The driveway felt like it belonged to a different zip code. It wasn't just the length, it was the silence. No city hum, no distant sirens, just the rhythmic crunch of gravel and the invisible eyes of a security system so sophisticated, you don't even see the cameras. You just feel them. When the iron gates retracted, they didn't creak, they glided. It was my first hint that in the world of the 1%, friction is a choice they simply choose not to make. Most of us think of a garage as a place to store a car. For Julian, it's a cathedral of engineering. Walking in, the first thing that hits you isn't the smell of gasoline, it's the absence of it. The air is climate controlled to a precise 68 degrees, smelling faintly of expensive Italian leather and whatever clean costs these days. He didn't lead me to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Instead, he pointed to a $5 million electric supercar, a piece of carbon fiber sculpture that looked like it was moving while standing still. "Listen," he said. He tapped the start button. Nothing. Just a faint, melodic hum of high-voltage systems waking up. In the middle-class world, we buy cars for status or utility. Here, status is secondary to the story. To my left was a 1960s GT40, still wearing the patina of the track. To my right, a bespoke hypercar with a paint job that took 4 months to cure. There were no oil stains on the floor. The floor was polished white epoxy, so bright it reflected the undercarriages of the vehicles. It struck me then, this wasn't a collection of toys. It was a curated timeline of human ambition. He doesn't drive these to get from A to B. He drives them to feel the pulse of a decade he wasn't even born in. We moved from the garage to what Julian calls his library, but there weren't many books. This was the watch room. Now, I appreciate a good timepiece, but seeing 40 Patek Philips and vintage Rolexes in one room changes your perspective on time. On his mahogany desk, sitting next to a half-empty espresso cup, was a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar. This is a watch that costs more than the 4-bedroom house I grew up in, and it was just sitting there, like a paperweight. I picked it up, with his permission of course, and the weight was staggering. It wasn't just the gold, it was the density of the craftsmanship. Julian explained that he doesn't buy these because he needs to know the time. He has an iPhone for that. He buys them because of their legacy. "Look at the moon phase," he whispered. "That complication will be accurate for the next 122 years. I'm just holding on to this for someone who isn't born yet. That's the bridge." We buy things for the weekend, the 1% buy things for the century. Beside the watches were historical artifacts, a letter signed by Napoleon, a fragment of a lost shipwreck. These weren't decorations. They were anchors to history. In this room, money wasn't a currency, it was a preservation fluid. I had to ask, "Julian, does it ever feel like too much? The cars, the vaults, the history." He leaned back, looking out over the manicured lawn that stretched toward the horizon. He didn't look like a man burdened by his possessions. He looked incredibly still. "You're looking at the price tags," he said gently. "I stopped looking at those years ago. I don't buy things. I buy pieces of human excellence. Most of the world lives in a state of now. They react to the news, the bills, the chaos. When I sit in that car or wind that watch, I'm connecting to a mindset of perfection that took decades to master." He explained that the outside world is chaotic because it's built on disposable culture. Fast fashion, fast cars, fast money. His philosophy is the opposite. He surrounds himself with objects that survive the test of time because they remind him to keep his own mindset long term. If you want to reach this level, he told me, you have to stop thinking about what things cost and start thinking about what they represent. Are you spending your life on things that vanish? Or are you investing your life in things that endure? The contrast was jarring. While I was worried about the scratch on my rim, he was thinking about the lineage of a brand. His calm wasn't because he was rich. He was rich because he had cultivated that calm long before the money arrived. Driving home, my own car felt a little louder than usual. The world felt a little more frantic, but I didn't feel envious. I felt focused. I realized that the 1% vision isn't about the size of the bank account, it's about the depth of the perspective. Wealth isn't just about owning the Ferrari, it's about having the access to a world where quality is the only metric that matters. Julian didn't show me his toys to brag. He showed me what happens when you stop chasing the now and start building for forever. If you want to shift your perspective and see the world through a different lens, you're in the right place. This is the 1% vision. Hit the subscribe button, join the circle, and let's start building something that lasts. I'll see you in the next one.